To the Slinkstitute presents episode, where are we at? 5? Episode 5. Nice seeing everyone. Welcome everyone who's watching live, and welcome to everyone who's going to be watching or listening at a later date or time. Super Bowl Sunday. I'm sure all you guys have plans, and thanks if you guys are pushing pause on the plans to hang out with me here this afternoon. We were going to talk about horror movies today, but we had to bump that to next week. So next week we will do the horror movie talk that we were talking about. This week, though, we are going to specifically talk about Detroit style coney sauce or coney chili, coney dogs. If you're from the Detroit area, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, you don't. And I'll explain a little bit about what that means as we go forward here. But I made some the other day, and I did a lot of research and grabbed stuff from different recipes and online stuff and tweaked it on my own and did a lot of taste testing. And I came up with what I think is the best Detroit coney style chili. It's not really a chili. It's a hot dog sauce. It's a coney sauce, Detroit style hot dog sauce that I could come up with. And there's a thing there with it because it's not a chili dog. Chili dogs are different. This is a thing. It's a unique. It's hard to place. So made some. Been eating it for a few days. Grace and I have been. They were good, weren't they? Yeah, I know. Yeah, me too. Yeah, no, I surprised me too. Thank you, Grace, honey. I appreciate it. So we're going to be talking about how I'm going to actually give you guys a recipe. I normally don't like doing recipes. I like doing how to do it, technique type stuff. But this is a recipe I'm going to give you guys, which I think kind of as close as I've gotten. Now, you might do better, or you have different things that you do that I've gotten to doing this. What's that? No, we won't be doing any wiener jokes, Grace. I know it would be funny. And well, unless they come up organically, then we will do a wiener. Yeah, I guess come up organically would be a wiener joke. I mean, that would be case in point, organically. Thank you, honey. Keep an eye out for that stuff. All right, cool. Grace, ladies and gentlemen, she's back today. Her condition is cleared up a bit. We've been applying. Well, let's just put it this way. I now know the difference between a cream, an ointment, and a salve. I like that I know that. I don't like the process that I had to learn to know that from. So, salves are different, guys. Just letting you know. Okay. All right, cool. So let's get started here. I got notes. What is Detroit hot dog chili? What is Detroit coney sauce? So a chili is a chili. You make chili. We've all made chili. We've all made chili dogs. But there are these diners in the Detroit area, and I'm sure in every area in the whole universe, that have these specific kind of chili dogs, and they have a very specific kind of chili. It's very specific, probably to your town, or and it's not. And I know I'm gonna almost kind of like contradict myself here, because I've been talking about how awesome this is, but it's not necessarily the best thing ever. I've made better tasting chili dogs. But this is more about trying to replicate this Lafayette, Coney Island, downtown 3 a.m. after seeing the Trash Can Sinatras at St. Andrews Hall in 1994 type stuff. This is its own thing. I've had better cheese than Kraft American singles, but Kraft American singles are their own thing. I've had better salad dressings than ranch, but ranch is its own thing. So that's what I was shooting for. I was trying to find this flavor that I was unable to find before. And I did a lot of research. And so let's get to it. A lot of people, I've been talking to people live and in real life. They really want to get to the recipe. So let's start with this. Hardware wise, what are you going to need? I used a 5-quart Dutch oven. This is what I recommend. I wouldn't go any lower than 4 quarts. You want a lot of room to move on in there. Does Grace have any brownies left? No, she does not. And I think that contributed to the situation where we had to use salve. So thank you. You want a saucier or a skillet. You're going to be making like a side roux. Something that can retain heat and cook low and slow. And those are the only 2 vessels you'll need. You'll need some tools, your stirs, your wood spatulas, your spoons, that kind of thing. As far as other ancillary stuff, the hot dogs themselves, if you're making straight style coney dogs, I used Kogel's, which is, I think, a Michigan company. Now, if you're outside of Michigan, what you're looking for is a natural casing hot dog, which has that snap to it. That's what I think you want to use here. They normally have a curve to them. But a natural casing hot dog, I know there's Nathan's. You can even get a Kowalski's in this ways, but I'm sure wherever you are, you know what I'm talking about. As far as buns, cheap, whatever. I honestly don't think that there's anything special about the buns. Your cheapish stuff at the grocery store, I think, is fine. If somebody thinks there's something special to the buns, let me know. I really didn't find anything different with the buns. And then you're going to want some onions. I just use a Spanish onion, just a regular old cheap onion, and mustard. And I like Plotchman's. I think it's better than French's or Heinz, but I don't think that makes a ton of difference. I think that's really just a personal preference. Plus, I like the little shape of the bottle. I don't know. So I'm a Plotchman's guy. So that's what you need as far as like ancillary stuff. Okay. Fair warning, this is going to take a while. I'm thinking this is going to take you about 4 hours to make. So this is a wake up early or do it the day before type thing. I don't know how they do it in the diners. I just assume that they just have it going all the time. So there's not a prep time. It's just an add to it time or a replenishing time. So I don't think that the time makes a ton of difference if that's what you're serving constantly as coney dogs. So keep that in mind. All right. And then also at the end of this recipe, I'm going to give you my ingredients first. So write these down. And if you're not in the spot to write stuff down, you can just come back to the video. I will be giving some additions later. I'm giving you my basic thing. And then there's some other things that you could do to it. And this is to make a 1/2 gallon, which is 2 quarts, which is, half of your 5-quart Dutch oven. And gives you lots of room to move around in it. And I think that's enough to feed. Well, it's enough to feed me and Grace for 3 days. So there you go. Your mileage may vary. All right, guys, ready? I'm not wearing a shirt. Get your pen and your pencil ready. Let's go through the ingredient list. For this, you will need, let's get this one out of the way, a 1/2 cup of suet or a 1/4 pound of suet. What is suet? Suet is like a really waxy fat that comes from around the kidneys of a cow. You can usually get it in the grocery store. If you can't see it, ask them for it. They may have it. If you can't find suet, you can go old school. If you have like a Mexican or an Italian grocery store near you, you could get lard, which will work. Again, you want about a half a cup or about a quarter pound. That's how that kind of works out. If you can't get either of those, straight up Crisco. Straight up Crisco. The solid stuff, the stuff that you got to scoop out. So you want a solid fat here. So you want a half a cup, translates to a quarter pound of suet, lard, Crisco. Got it? Cool. 2.5 pounds of ground beef. Don't get fancy here. Get the shitty stuff. Get the hamburger, the 70-30, the 75-20. This is a greasy situation. We do not need ground round, ground sirloin. Do not ask them to grind a sirloin tip roast for you. You want the cheap shit here. Okay. Lard is available everywhere. Good. If you can get lard is the second best. I would go suet first, lard second, Crisco third. Now I'm going to kind of break away from the norm here. So normally, and my professional chef friends will agree that one of the key ingredients to great coney sauce is beef heart. Gross, Eric. Beef heart? Yeah, beef heart. That's part of it. It just is, love it or not. However, beef heart may be tough to find. If you got a good meat market, go grab some beef heart. That'd be awesome. However, here's what I did to make it a little more accessible. I could have went and got beef heart, but I decided not to because I felt like that was getting it too hoity-toity for fucking coney sauce. So here's what I want you to do. Go to the grocery store, and when you're buying your skin on natural casing Kogels, find a skinless all beef kosher hot dog and buy a pack of those too. So you want an all beef skinless dog. And I'll tell you why. We're going to substitute that for the beef heart. It's interesting. You're going to have to trust me on this. Okay. So far we got the suet, 2.5 pounds of 70-30 ground beef, and a half a pound of all beef skinless dogs. Then you're going to need 12 to 18 saltine crackers, soda crackers. You know what I'm talking about? 2 cups of chicken stock. Just do cheap stuff. Don't use the stuff that you made. Bouillon cube or better than bouillon is what I like, that like goo that you make. Get that stuff. You're going to need a quarter cup of ketchup, 3 tablespoons of mustard, 2 tablespoons of paprika, just the cheap stuff. Don't go for the Hungarian smoked here. 1.5 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 tablespoon of turmeric, kind of expensive. Hopefully you have it. 1 tablespoon of cumin, 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder, 1.5 teaspoons of black pepper. Fresh ground is great, but if you have some in that like black and white shitty can, just use that. Not a big deal. And then 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I don't care if you use table salt or kosher or sea salt or whatever. So that's your basic list here. So gather all that shit together. Afterwards, there's some add-ons. We could also add some black coffee, brewed coffee, like a cup of coffee, cinnamon, cloves, other things that could go in there. All right. So I'll give you a minute to write all that stuff down. Rewind if you have to. You can't rewind. It's a live video. What am I saying? I'm trying to give myself an excuse to have a beer. So these are my players on this. Now, like I said before, this is a weird thing. It's not chili. So don't have in your mind that you're making chili. You're not. You're making a hot dog sauce. It's 2 different things. Wait, did I say in the last thing chicken stock? Well, hopefully. I feel like I missed that. Yeah, I did. Okay. There's a difference between a chili dog and a coney dog. Chili dog is a dog with chili on it. Coney dog is very specific to Detroit. So this is what we're making. It's going to take a while. All right, you guys ready? Take a deep breath. Maybe light a cigar. You guys got a cigar? Pour yourself some bourbon or something. Speaking of bourbon, I got gifted the other day by my bosses at my job. I'm not sure what the gift was for. I think it was for my haircut. Not exactly sure, but I work for some great people, and they got me some Michigan-made apple bourbon. Not usually a flavored bourbon guy. This stuff tastes great. It's almost like old school Applejack, like really old school, like 50s type stuff. Super smooth. My mom had a sip of it, and she's not a huge bourbon. So I'll find out what that is and let you guys know. All right, everybody got their shit together? Good. All right, here we go. So you're going to take that half a pound of skinless beef hot dogs, and you're going to chop the shit out of them, mince them, beat the I mean, like, we're talking, you almost want to make like a gross paste out of them. They shouldn't look like chunks of hot dogs. They should be minced so deep and so fine that half pound of hot dogs is almost looks like ground goo. All right, does that make sense? So you're going to just beat the shit out of that. And it's going to take a little bit of time. You're going to get frustrated, and there's going to be chunks. Keep doing it. You can't overdo it, okay? You can't overdo it. You could use a meat grinder, I guess. I don't have a meat grinder. I just like the fact of just hitting something with a knife a million times in a row. Like slurry is the word you're going to be looking for throughout the whole thing. Thank you, Facebook user. But yeah, you could use a meat grinder, I guess, if you want to save some time. But to me, like it's the journey, I guess. I don't know. And then, so you're going to take that half pound of beat the shit beef, skinless hot dogs, the suet and the ground beef, and just throw it all into your 5-quart Dutch oven and start cooking it. Now, you've overloaded your pan. Chefs, I know you're going, hey, that's way too much. There's not enough space to brown everything. We're not really browning it. We're cooking it. Okay, we're just cooking it. We're not browning it. I don't want caramelization in this particular sense. You don't want it to crisp up. You want to cook it through. So overcrowding the pan is not a big deal. I think that's where the suet comes in. It almost acts as like a way to like give heat through everything or whatever. I'm not exactly sure, but cook that shit, and it's going to take a while because you've overloaded the pan. Keep mixing, keep stirring. So you got all that cooking up, and it's going to take a while. So the hot dogs, the suet, and the ground beef are cooking in your big Dutch oven. All right, so, and you're just going to have to wait here. There's nothing else you can do. Now, when it's cooked, there's going to be a lot of grease. Don't be afraid. It's going to be a greasy recipe. We're going to use the grease. Oh, yeah, we're going to use the grease. Right? Yeah? That's right, Grace? Yeah, we're going to use the grease, honey. How's the dough coming? We're making a pizza later. Surprising. We're making a coney dog pizza. Okay. Keep an eye on it. All right. So when that's cooked, I want you to drain the grease into your skillet or whatever you're going to make, whatever your other thing is, a skillet or a small bowl. And we're going to make a roux with that. Get about a quarter cup. Don't measure it. Just ballpark. Get about a quarter cup into that skillet, and to that quarter cup of hot, greasy grease, you're going to add about 12 crushed up saltine crackers. Yeah, put them in a Ziploc bag and just beat the shit out of them. You got kids around. This is a great thing. Grace loved doing it, just taking out some anger on the saltine crackers. Get them to a powder. And once they're in a powder, add those to the grease and start stirring. We're talking over low heat. And it's going to start soaking up the grease. And you want it to kind of soak up most of the grease. So you're making like a goo, like a slurry, which is the word that keeps over. Brandon keeps on bringing up, which is exactly the key word for this is slurry for the whole recipe. And if there's a little bit too much grease, add some more crushed up crackers. It's a little too dry, add a little bit more grease. You're essentially making a roux with the grease from the meat and crushed up saltine crackers. Keep cooking that until it kind of turns like a golden brown. You'll know. It'll start to just turn into like a pasty goo. And that's what you want. All right. Once you have that, and again, this is one of those things that's really hard to explain. I'd like to tell you exactly how long it will take or how much grease and how much crackers you need. But if you've made roux before, you know what I'm looking for here. Okay, so once you have that, throw the roux back on top of the meat. Scrape it all into that main meat pot, and then add your 2 cups of chicken stock. And now stir it so everything gets all coated and happy together. Bring up the temperature just a hair to a simmer and let that simmer for about 20 minutes. Walk away. Walk away. Just let it simmer. Don't rush it. Let it go. And you're going to kind of see it kind of coagulate, which is not a word that you normally want to hear with food. But trust me here. Let that kind of go for about 20 minutes. It's going to start off by boiling, and then it's going to kind of like turn into like a weird goo. You can stir it. Please stir it. You're going to want to stir it. But don't go nuts on it, all right? Just move it around so we're not burning. We want to make it even, but we don't let it do its magic, you know? How to explain this? Encourage it, but don't rush it. That make sense? I think it does. Okay, so after about 20 minutes, now you're going to add the rest of the stuff. The mustard, the ketchup, all the spices, all the way up to the salt and pepper thing, everything else that I mentioned, and stir all that in. Make sure it's nice and combined. Put the lid on, turn it on super low, and let it simmer. This is a don't stir it thing. This is a check on it every 20 minutes, 15 minutes thing. Let it go. If it feels thick, if you check on it, feels thick, add water. I know, add water. Why won't we add stock or something with flavor to it? The flavor balance is where it should be. We're diluting, we're not adding, okay? We can intensify flavor later. What we don't want to do is, if we added more chicken stock, then we would have too much chicken stock in the balance, all right? So we would add a little water, scrape the bottom, stir it, walk away. And we're going to, I would say let this go for 2 or 3 hours. Keep on checking it every 15, 20 minutes. Just move it around. Let it stir. Let it do its thing. It's gonna start to dry out a little bit. Every time it dries out, add like not even a 1/4 cup of water. Stir it around. Let it go. Keep doing this for seriously for 3 hours. This is I know it seems like, why would that make that much of a difference? I don't know. I'm a vessel here. I'm helping you. All right. I don't know why it would take 4 hours, but it does. So let this go for 2 or 3 hours. All right. So so have a beer. Talk to your girlfriend. Catch up on some TV. TV that you can push pause on because you have to go and check and stir and maybe add some water. Do that thing. And after about 2 or 3 hours, look at it. It should have thinned out because we have the lid on. Okay. We're not letting moisture out. The lid is on. Yes, it needs time to get happy. Exactly. It should be pretty moist, pretty loose. Moist. There's a story on NPR about how that's one of the most hated words in America. Now, at this point, this is what I did. Gave it about 2 or 3 hours. Nice and moist, but it was a little chunky. Now, you've been to Coney. The sauce is pretty loose, man. It's a loose sauce. So what I did is I took my immersion blender, like a wand blender, that thing, and I went in there and kind of started mixing it up a little bit to thin it out. If you don't have one of those, maybe take a third of that pot out and pop it in a real blender and blend it, add it back in. Anyway, you're just trying to like grind it up, thin it out. So, that's the next step. Now you just have to use your eye on that. I can't tell you how much to take out or put in or how long to use your wand blender or anything like that. I can tell you this. Once you add it back in, if it's still a little dry, but you like the consistency, add some water. No big deal. If it's a little loose, add more crushed up crackers. All right. So get some more saltines. Nobody buys just 18 saltines, so I know you have a whole fucking box. So crush up some saltines, oyster crackers, whatever, and add those in there and stir those around. So those are your thickening and loosening things. Water, crush up saltines. All right, so you're going to try and get a good consistency there. Everybody got it so far with me? Cool. All right. Step 92. Here we go. We're almost ready. So let that kind of go for like another hour, if you can. After an hour, take a look at it. Make your adjustments. Taste it. And see if it's where you want it. Now, I would suggest that you just leave it where it is for now, and trust me, dress a couple dogs with it and then make additions later. Or if you want to do this, you could actually do, which was what I did, is I took little bits out into different pots and different pans and added different things to those different pots and pans to change it, but use this as the base. All right. So we're going to make a couple dogs now because it's been like 5 fucking hours. And you are so fucking hungry, and maybe you're a little bit drunk because you've been drinking during the whole making of this. All right, so buns, you're going to steam them. If you got a steamer, steam them. If you don't, wrap them in paper towel, put them in the microwave for like 15, 20 seconds, steam buns, done. Again, not worried about buns. Dogs, do not boil them, griddle them. Put them in a pan or on a griddle. You want them to get a little bit light brown on every side, okay? This was my first time trying to make this, and I would for sure do it again. So you want them to get a little crispy. Don't let them split. Don't let them break open. Totally different thing. I think that's a southern thing with the split dogs. So you just want them to get a little crispified on the outside. It's natural casing dogs. So you want like a crunchy crispness to it. All right. Mince some onions, white onions, mince them small. I did get my balls busted the other day when I posted some pictures of these. A friend of mine who is also kind of a Detroit foodie had 2 problems with my photo. Number one, onions weren't minced small enough. Fair enough, Dave. Fair enough. I'm going to chalk this up to my laziness. I would like to say that, no, I like chunky onions, but you're right. No, I just stopped mincing. I was tired. I just wanted to get the onions on the dog. And then the other thing that you need is mustard. I like Plotchman's mustard, just a personal preference. I like the bottle. Super good. Got my balls busted for this. Evidently, the correct way to put mustard on a dog is parallel to the dog itself. I went perpendicular, like a zigzag across. I prefer perpendicular. Dave thinks parallel. Grace is a big fan of parallel. Her thing is if you do parallel, you always get a bite of mustard in every bite of the dog, which I see like mathematically how that would work. However, I take really big bites of dog. I like a lot of wiener in my mouth. There you go, Grace. I had to give you one. You're welcome, honey. So it didn't matter. I just think it looks cooler with the zigzag across the top. So get all that stuff ready. All right. Do I have everything? Yeah. So some people say put the mustard on first. Fuck off. Steamed dog or steamed bun, grilled dog, chili. Make it so you can hold it, though. Don't go over the top. Minced onion. Make sure you mince it small. You're going to piss everybody off. And then put mustard on it. However you want to do it. However you like to do your mustard. Consensus is parallel with the dog. I like perpendicular. And there you go. Those are your Coney Island dogs. Now, I loved them. Grace loved them. I think this is as close as I've ever gotten to doing this. I've been trying for a long time. And this is a lot of different recipes from the internet, a lot of different trial and errors. Now, I did talk to, when I started doing this, I did talk to a couple of chef friends of mine who have worked in a lot of different places. And there's 3 that I found additions that can be done to this. Now, I caution you on all 3 of them. 2 of them, I super caution you. My friend Brandon, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, said there's a trick. Add a 1/4 cup of coffee, black coffee, like liquid coffee, not coffee grounds. 1/4 cup of black coffee per half gallon. And I did that, and it woke it up. I have to say it. It was good. I didn't taste the coffee, but it seemed to like wake everything up. Kind of like kicked everything in the nuts. You know what I mean? It kind of gave a little twist to the old nutsack there. And I thought that was a great addition. Anything more than that, though, you're going to taste the coffee, and it's going to take this was almost a seasoning and not a flavor, which was very interesting. I think if you went too far with that, you could fuck it up. I also had a couple friends that said, have mentioned both cinnamon and cloves. Now, I'm not a huge fan of either of those spices unless it's very specific, unless it's supposed to be the front flavor. As an additional flavor, or as a spice that's adding to something else, I find that it just stands out way too much. So if you're going to try either one of these, start with like a 1/2 teaspoon or less with those 2 things. If you get too much cinnamon or cloves, I feel like we're getting close to Skyline hot dog chili, which is a Cincinnati thing, which is its own thing, which is a great thing, which is a very famous, almost as famous as the Detroit style chili. Skyline chili has that cinnamon clove thing on the underlying. I also, from what I understand, and then I have a couple friends in Rhode Island and Maine. There is the Rhode Island style chili dog. That sauce has a cinnamon clove type flavor to it. So I think that's more specific to that. If you want to add some of that, do it, but be careful. Maybe do what I did. Pull out a little bit, add a little tiny bit to that, see if you can wake it up or if that makes you happy. So those are my additions. Again, this is my basic starter recipe. This is not law. This is not how they make it at Lafayette, Coney Island downtown. They don't. I'm sure I do it the way that I decided to do it. You may argue with me on this. You can have your additions, subtractions. If you like a little bit more of this or a little bit less of that, keep on doing it. You know how I am. cooking is a living, breathing thing. So do what you like and don't take any shit off anybody. If somebody says that's not true or that's not right or that's whatever, tell them to go fuck themselves, because you eat what you like to eat and do what you like to do. But this is, in my opinion, this is the closest I've come to making this shit at home, with ingredients that we can all get at the grocery store. So try it out. I want you guys to try it out. I mean, you can half this and make it smaller or whatever. This is for a half gallon, of course. Let me know what you think. Add some stuff to it. Fuck around with it. Go down to Lafayette, grab 2 dogs, bring them home, and do a comparison, which I didn't do. I'm going off memory here. I'm going off memory on Lafayette chili dogs. So I could be wrong. I can't remember last time I went for a true chili dog. Fucking last year, March or something. I mean, probably a year. But I've been eating them my whole life, so I feel like I know enough about them. All right. And just a side note, when you reheat the sauce, reheat it in a pot. Don't do the microwave. It wants to separate. It really does. It's a lot of fat. A lot of fat in it. So you're going to want to reheat it in a pot and stir it. It's not something that you could just scoop out and throw on top of the dog. If you do that, then like red grease is just going to ruin everything. So reheat it in a pot and do it that way. All right. That was a 38 fucking minute recipe. A 38-minute recipe that's going to take you 4 or 5 hours to make. I keep on extending it, don't I? All right. Eat, drink, and be merry. Super Bowl Sunday. Eat and drink. Oh, I talked about the drink already, right? I got the apple bourbon. All right, so eat, drink, already handled. What am I watching? I just binged, and I advertised this on the thing, WandaVision. Now, if you are a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the Avengers movies, you know what I'm talking about. And you're familiar with the Scarlet Witch character and the Vision character. This is a really good show. If you're a super comic book nerd and are into details, lore, comic book references, things being brought up and thrown away from movies 9 years ago, this is a great show. This is fantastic. This movie or this show, and it's a show, and I think it's 9 episodes. I think they're on episode 5 now. As at least I've seen 5. I don't know if there's more yet, but I think it's going to be 9 in its entirety. This show is crazy. It's crazy. I didn't know what to do going into it. I didn't even see the trailer. I just was hearing that it's a good show, so I started to watch it. It's on Disney Plus. If you don't have Disney Plus, I would start dating someone who does have it just to watch the show. And while you're at it, catch The Mandalorian. You don't have to give up the goods. Just start dating them and then, say, let's just have a couple movie nights and kind of just binge that shit. That's what I would do. Take advantage of people, folks. It's full of details, full of Easter eggs, characters, side characters from other movies come back, people that you never thought you'd see again. There was the one FBI agent. I forget his name. That was in, I think it was in Ant-Man 2, who Paul Rudd teaches some magic tricks to. Like, he's like one of the stars. And then like in Captain Marvel, her friend's daughter, who was a kid in the show, is now one of the stars. There was like the astrophysicist chick, I think Kat whatever. She was from Thor 1. She's in the show. Like all these little characters, and they make the characters really good. Graduate. They're super good. But here's the thing. Here's the hook on the show. And you'll find out why later, I hope. But each one of the shows pays tribute to a sitcom genre starting. So the first episode is kind of like a Dick Van Dyke Show parody with a sprinkling of I Love Lucy. I gotta quit smoking. Just kidding. The second episode is like a thing with Bewitched. What's the third one? Oh, the third one is like the Brady Bunch, or like the Partridge Family. It's very much Brady Bunch. Like the whole set design, the staircase and everything is like the Brady Bunch. The theme song is very season of Partridge Family. And then the next one is kind of a different one, but the next parody is Family Ties. It's got like the painting thing and like the sha-la-la-la theme song. Take a break, everybody. I'm going to figure this cough out. All right, I think I'm back. Oh, I'm okay. So yeah, so there's a Family Ties one where they do like where they paint the sha-la-la-la thing, and it's lots of attention to detail. The set design, the production design, little just like there's a in the 80s one, the Family Ties one. There's like Commodore 64 computers and stuff, and the high-waisted jeans on the lead girl is Elizabeth Olsen, who plays Scarlet Witch or Wanda, are so high. They almost have a bra like in them. That the high-waisted mom jeans are great. The cast is fantastic. So they're up at the 80s now. I'm not sure what nights these come on. So the next one should be 90s. So I'm thinking maybe it's a tequila's good for a cough. Thank you. Probably I'm guessing they're gonna parody the Friends set, the Friends apartment. That's my guess on this one for the next one. But it's a good show if you're a fan of those Marvel movies. If you're not, which a lot of people aren't, and that's fine. If you're not, the other thing that I'm watching, if you have the HBO Max app, is a little miniseries called The Lady in the Dell, I think it's called. And it's about in the 70s, Lady in the Dale. In the 70s, there was this woman who was going to like challenge the big three automakers, and she invented this three-wheeled car that got 70 miles to the gallon during the gas crisis. And there's twists and turns. It's a curly straw, guys. So if you have the HBO Max, check this one out. That's it's on episode 3 of 4. It's a documentary, but it's done real well. The production is real well on. It's a true story, which anytime somebody says, hey, do you know it's a true story? Like elevates the material for me. So that would be a thing if you're not a fan of the Marvel movies. The Lady in the Dale is a great little documentary on the HBO Max. So that's it. Eat, drink, be merry. See what else. listening to? What am I listening to? Well, this will tie into what's happening right now. Today is Super Bowl Sunday, right? Kickoff is in, I'm sure coverage for the Super Bowl started yesterday. I think kickoff's at 6 or 6:30. Every time around this year now, it's cool and it's not cool, but I listen to, surprise, surprise, it's Slink, Prince, because that was the best Super Bowl performance of all time. The man is the only human being of note to be able to make it rain when he wants it to rain. It's true. That Super Bowl performance, which I think was in 2007, if I'm not mistaken, was seriously one of the best. It's only like fucking 12 or 14 minutes, but it was so good that it's one of those things where even if you're not a fan of his, and what was great for him is he had nothing to promote. He didn't have a new album. He wasn't going on tour. He just played, and he did like covers. He did like All Along the Watchtower, but he did like a Foo Fighters cover. Like he just played, and it was pouring rain. It's the only time it's ever rained during the Super Bowl. It was in Miami, and the rumor has it is that it starts to rain just as halftime comes up, and they're starting to move the stage and all that stuff out there. And so the promoters or the guys in charge, contact Prince's people and said, like, it's pouring. And Prince, a lot of people do like pre-recorded shit at the Super Bowl. Prince said, no, I'm fucking playing live. I'm Prince. Fuck off. And they said, no, you can't. And he's like, no, I'm Prince. I'm going to do it anyway. So they, did that thing. And so now it starts to rain. He's got like 4 different guitars on 4 different things. He got this, stage made out of like ice, essentially, because it's raining. And they're freaking out. You got dancers in 8-inch heels. You got a full band. Everyone's got different guitars and basses and shit. And they contacted people and say, like, hey, is Prince okay with the rain, or should we? And Prince says, his people said, yeah, Prince wants to know if you can make it rain harder. And Prince went out there and performed one of I'm not even going to fucking minimize it, the best Super Bowl halftime show in the history of ever, in the fucking pouring rain. And watch it. If you can find it, watch it. He performs Purple Rain in the rain. And look at his coat. Look at his jacket. It's the only one on stage who isn't wet. Fucking weird. So every year around this time, I listen to Prince. So that's what I'm listening to. All right, guys. 49 minutes, and I didn't even have a guest. Grace, who are you rooting for on the Super Bowl? Kansas City? It says here they are the favorites by 3 points. All right. 56 over and under. I'm going to go for the Bucks. Not because I care about Brady that much, but I love their old logo with the slightly effeminate Douglas Fairbanks, Errol Flynn guy with the knife in his mouth. He's got the sloping hat. I just think it's a cool logo, so I'm going to vote on the logo. What do they call that kind of hat? Do you Google that? The Buccaneer hat? What do they call that kind of hat? Oh, a Buccaneer hat. Okay. Makes sense. It's called the Buccaneer hat, guys. All right. I think that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for taking an hour out of your Super Bowl Sunday to join me and Grace here for our little show. Hopefully, you got some insight on that coney sauce. Any questions, any comments, do so on one of the pages, the Eat, Drink, Be Merry page, my page, Slinkstitute page, the YouTube page. And I will try and answer them and point you in the right direction. Like I said, next week we're going to do our horror movie thing. It got bumped because of some unforeseen circumstance. So you have a whole nother week to catch up with these movies. Again, the 4 movies are The Witch, Hereditary, Midsummer, and The Lighthouse. Catch up on those, and we'll be talking about all 4 of those movies next week, 3:00 Sunday. After that, hey, if you got any ideas for topics or guests, go ahead and post them on one of the pages. If you want to be on the show, let me know. You got something you want to talk about, let me know. And let's get this more community thing. I got all the stuff out of the way that I want to do out of the gate. So yeah. What do you guys think? What do you want to hear about next? What do you want to talk about next? Enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. Go stir that buffalo dip. It's probably burning on the bottom. Okay. For fuck's sake. Thank you, Grace. Thanks to all you guys. We will talk to you next week. Live from the Slinkstitute. This is Slink. See ya.